Hi everybody, this is the baseball, like the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2, and hope you like this video. I'm going to talk about the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm going to do some videos on this until we get some new Hall of Famers. But we obviously have some holdovers from last year, and we have a whole bunch of new names this year. This is a very interesting ballot, quite frankly. You have some very controversial people on this ballot. As you know, they got A-Rods on this ballot still. So we'll get into it. So here we go. We have some holdovers from last year. Todd Helton, Billy Wagner, and Andrew Jones. According to MLB.com, the candidacies of Helton, Wagner, and Jones are among the top storylines of this year's ballot. All three are within range of the 75% threshold needed for induction following significant jumps last year. Helton fell just shy in his fifth year on the ballot, receiving 72.2% of the vote. Your host, I am not a big fan of his. I think he's a byproduct of Colorado. I guess say, well, what about Larry Walker? Larry Walker was a great player in Montreal. And he kind of took that down into Colorado. I am not a fan of Todd Helton at all, because once they started testing for substances, he was not hitting for power like he had. It was a little suspicious to me as your host. Billy Wagner. Now Billy's an interesting case because he has one of the highest strikeout ratios of any reliever, and he's comparable to all the other relievers. And he would be the first, as far as I know, the first lefty reliever to get in the Hall of Fame. Now, Wagner was, 5'10", 5'11", do 99 miles per hour. He put up awesome numbers during his career. But the thing that hurts Wagner a lot is that he did not pitch well in big spots. Whether it was with the Astros or with the Mets, he was always giving up big home runs. That's the one thing. He provided the power late in the game. But he is an interesting candidate. But if you look at some of the other candidates, he's probably a more worthy candidate than Lee Smith was, in my view. Lee Smith, in my view, was a compiler. Billy was not. He was great for 10 solid years. It's funny. I was looking at some of the relievers. You go on do Baseball Reference, and they have that wins above replacement. All the relievers, aside from Mariano Rivera, they're all comparable in terms of wins above replacement. They're all about 24, 25. Even Trevor Hoffman, who's the all-time saves leader, he is similar to Wagner in terms of their WAR. It's the weirdest thing. So I was very I could see Billy going in. I could see Billy not going in. Now we have Andrew Jones. Andrew Jones should be in the Hall of Fame. Probably the greatest defensive center fielder of his generation. Hit a lot of home runs. They do not win a lot of games down in Atlanta if it wasn't for him playing center field. A very underrated offensive player, quite frankly. And obviously he is right now 58.1%. Obviously needs 75%. He's going to be close this year. And he's on the 7th year of his ballot. Wagner's on the 9th year. So he's got one more year again. He's at 68.1%. Now we have Gary Sheffield, who's up to 55%. But he will be, this is going to be a tough one for Gary. Because Gary has admitted to doing substances in the majors. He has hit 500 home runs. He's got one of the highest on-base percentages of a lot of players. He is an interesting case in my view. I see him, the way I look at him, he's a Hall of Famer. But there are issues with Gary. Obviously, when he was a younger player, he said he was dogging it when he was in Milwaukee because he wanted to get traded out of Milwaukee. So that's a problem there. And obviously later on in his career, he said he was doing substances to help, but he said, I didn't know what it was, blah, 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 whatever. So that's a problem. Now we have closer here to home, and that's Carlos Beltran. He's at 46.5% of the vote. He's one of 5 players with 400 home runs and 300 stolen bases. One of the great all-time center fielders. I mean, he might be the second greatest switch hitting center fielder in the history of Major League Baseball. Obviously behind Mickey Mantle. So he is a guy that is a very impressive candidate. But the thing that hurts him is the scandal in 2017 with the Astros. But by that point, his career was pretty much at its end. So this does not have to do with the end of his very illustrious career. And he was named the center fielder of the 2000s. He's a Rookie of the Year candidate. He's one of the great postseason players of all time. He should be in. Well, whether he gets in this year, he should get bumped up this year. Now we got a couple of very controversial guys. A-Rod, well, I love A-Rod, but we know his issues. And Manny Ramirez, another guy known performance-enhancing drug guys. And there you go. A-Rod had 35.7% of the vote, and Manny had 33.2%. I would mention about A-Rod. When he played shortstop, he was the best defensive shortstop in the American League. He was better than Garcia Parra, and he was better than Derek Jeter. And he gave up playing shortstop because Jeter obviously didn't want to get off the position at shortstop. And he was a great third baseman when he played. You can't. That's the one thing you can't say that is a big deal. When you do that, the drug enhancing, performance enhancing drugs, really is more about how you. When you look at it, it's more like what they do at the plate than you do in the field, I think. Now we have a whole bunch of retreads. Omar Vizquel, he's not getting in. Andy Pettitte, I'm surprised he's still on there. Bobby Abreu, I'm surprised he's still on there. Jimmy Rollins is still on there. Mark Burley's still on there. Frankie Rodriguez, I can't believe he's still on there. Torrey Hunter, he's still there. So let's get into the new guys, and they all want me to do new guys. So the big name on the list is Adrian Beltre. Okay, he's got a wins above replacement 93.5, 93.5, incredible. His WAR ranks 27 for a position player, placing him between Cap Hansen and Al Kaline. Only Mike Schmidt and Eddie Matthews have a WAR among primary third basemen. Beltre made his MLB debut for the '98 Dodgers just a few months after his 19th birthday. He was one of 8 players with at least 3,000 hits and 4,500 home runs. Multiple Silver Sluggers, multiple All-Star appearances. Just an incredible player. He's going to get in. And a great defensive player, too. So he's getting in. There's no doubt. Chase Utley. That's when I think of Chase Utley. I am biased because he is a prick. I don't like the way he carried himself on the field. Now he would be going in as a second baseman. It'll be interesting to see if he gets in. I'm not a big fan of his. I have no respect for him, this player. I'm just telling you like it is as a Met fan. And it wasn't so much about Ruben. People talk about Ruben Tejada when he took out Ruben Tejada in the playoffs. It wasn't the first time he had done that to Ruben. So that was like the second time that he'd done that to him. This was the first time he actually injured a player. So I have very little respect for this particular player. So I'm just letting you know that right off the bat. He's going to get awfully close. I don't know if he's going to get in, but he's going to get awfully close to the first ballot. Joe Mauer, Hall of Famer. He's going to get in, no doubt. One of the great offensive catchers in the history of baseball. 55.2 wins above replacement. His WAR is about where I guess Mike Piazza's is about. Maybe a little below Mike Piazza. Obviously the highest wins above replacement is Johnny Bench as a catcher. And number 2, which was shocking to me when I saw it, was Gary Carter. I couldn't believe the kid had the second highest WAR amongst catchers who had their position be primarily a catcher. I couldn't believe it. But then the more I thought about it, he was a great defensive catcher as well as a great hitter in the middle of several great lineups. And I think Pudge Rodriguez is there, and I think Piazza. So he's under those 4 guys. He won 3 batting titles, 3 Gold Gloves, one of the real great catchers in the history of baseball. His WAR, okay, I'm sorry. Here is his WAR. His WAR ranks 9th among primary catchers. Everyone ahead of him is in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I mean, I can probably think about it off the top of my head. Like I said, in terms of who's in front of him. David Wright, yes, a Met. A Met is on the ballot. We got 3 Mets on the ballot. David Wright, 49.2 wins above replacement. A 2-time, 7-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glove winner, 2-time Silver Slugger Award winner at third base. By the time he was 30. But after 2012, he was not the player that he was. His 44.4 WAR during the period of 2005, on his first 9 years, was tied for the 6th most in the major leagues. He did seem like he was going to be a Hall of Famer, but the injuries and going into Citi Field completely wrecked his chances to get in the Hall of Fame. Bartolo Colon wins above replacement, 46.2%. In the wild card era, only CC Sabathia has had more starts and thrown more innings than Colon. His 21-year journey through the majors took him to 11 teams and included 247 wins, the most by a Dominican-born pitcher. Boy, he's going to get a lot of votes, folks. He's going to get a lot of votes. I don't know if he's going to get in, but he is going to get awfully close because he has more wins than Juan Marichal. And that's who he passed. That's who's number 2 on this list. But he is a guy that gotten in trouble with PEDs as well. So he is going to get awfully close. He won a Cy Young. He's on the All-Star team 4 times. He's one of the most. He will go down as one of the most popular players in New York Mets history. He is going to get close. He is an interesting case. Matt Holliday. Now, if you don't know who Matt Holliday is, his son is Jackson Holliday. He was a 7-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger Award winner. 14 of his 15 big league seasons were spent with the Rockies and the Colorado and the Cardinals. He logged an OPS plus better than 130 for each franchise. Wow. In 2007, with Colorado, he was the MVP runner-up after pacing the National League in hits, RBIs, batting average, and total bases. He won the World Series in 2011 with the Cardinals. By the time he retired, he had more than 1,100 runs and 1,200 RBIs. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he was a very good player. Adrian Gonzalez, the number 1 overall pick in the 2000 draft. Gonzalez spent most of his career as an elite run producer on the West Coast. He's with the Padres and he's with the Dodgers. 5-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glove winner. Jose Reyes, he's next. Jose was one of the most dynamic, exciting players during the first decade of the 2000s. From 2005 to 2008, he recorded at least 190 hits, double-digit triples, and 55 stolen bases each season. Speedy shortstop is one of the 4 players in the divisional era with at least, get this, 100 home runs, 100 triples, and 500 steals. Hall of Famers Paul Molitor and Tim Raines are also in that group. Reyes, a 4-time All-Star with the Mets, has a batting title with the Mets, and he finished his career with the Mets as well. Jose Bautista, 36.7 wins above replacement. He's interesting because he started in the Mets system, if I remember right. And the Mets traded him early in his career. He bounced around a little bit. And then he was with the Pirates, and then he kind of sort of fell off the map. And then he just sort of went crazy with the Blue Jays for 5 years. He was great for 5 years. And then he sort of fizzled out. Victor Martinez is on the list. 32 WAR. James Shields on the list. 30.7 wins above replacement. He's kind of known on this list for giving up the home run to Bartolo Colon. And of course, Brandon Phillips on this list. These are all new time players coming on here. And they're all very good players, if not close to Hall of Fame. But I'll say this. From this group, other than the obvious guys of Mauer and, of course, Beltre, keep an eye on Bartolo Colon. He was extremely popular, not only amongst the fans, but amongst the media. And this guy, again, has the 2nd most wins by a Dominican-born player. And the other guy under him is a Hall of Famer. And he won 20 games. He was on good teams. He pitched in a lot of big games. He was a great athlete. Don't let the size fool you. Yeah, he was a great athlete. So let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to Baseball 2, and I'll see you later.